So I've actually tried scripting this video like 17 times probably. And safe to say, either I suck at scripting or I probably should just hit this one raw because it's kind of annoying at this point, to be honest with you. But really what I want to talk about is expectations. This might be actually a shorter video because I just want to hit it clear and hit it straight so that you guys just understand exactly where I'm coming from, most importantly. The biggest thing is what to expect when you get into a position where you're starting to work on yourself or you're starting to build something that's bigger than yourself. I think what typically happens is because we get so caught up in like the desired outcome or the vision or the heaven island to say something different, we tend to forget or tend to not even think about what it'll actually take to amount to being that specific type of person or actually get into that goal. And it's not that I want to be apocalyptic or like bring anybody down by what I'm about to say, but I think we could possibly bring ourselves some value or do ourselves some good if we just really was just objective about what it would really take. Now the problem is we don't know what it will really take because we have no idea how hard it's going to be or what we need to do along the way. But that's what this video is for because I'm just going to give three things that I think could help a lot of people on like what to expect when we jump into self development. And the first thing is just expect it to be lonely. And when I say lonely, it's not like everybody that all the friends that you have currently is magically gonna cut you off or run away once you start to work on yourself. For the most part, for me at least, it doesn't happen like that. I think what really happens is you start to take action on like working on yourself and you start to notice a pattern that you find the best answers when you're in isolation, to be honest with you. When you're just reflecting, when you're in isolation, when you're journaling, that's when you find the best answers about yourself. You actually start to build an idea or build a blueprint to where you really want to be. And it's just super hard to do that when there's people in your life that either aren't on that same path or when they have beliefs or opinions about what you're trying to do. It just shifts the foundation so much. It just slows your process down. It's actually hard to stay consistent with it. I think that's where most people get stuck because once it starts feeling a little bit lonely, they start to feel like, man, it's lonely. This probably is a sign that I'm doing the wrong thing. I think it's completely opposite, right? Like when you're on a path where when you're on the path of the utmost with the most resistance, it's actually a sign that you're doing good because the other path is the least resistance, and everything that's easy typically isn't good when it comes to self development, right? And I think this is probably one of the hardest parts. I'm just now getting to the point now where I feel like I have people to reach out to and ask questions, or I feel like I have a a board to an extent to where I can call and like say like, yo, this is what I'm going through. What do I do next? Because in the beginning you don't have anybody until you develop into the until you find out the type of person that you want to be, where you can go and find people that are similar to that specific avatar, if that makes sense. And that's just the objective truth. It sucks, but that's what it is. And the second thing is how hard it's actually going to be. I think you have to expect it to be hard. Where we typically mess up is like we expect things to be easy, and because of that, when we jump into it, we start but we never finish. Right? So we get into it, we gear up, we're like ready to go. It's like there's something called the Kruger effect, I believe, and you're just at this mountain of optimism, but you forget that you have to go down the hill and then come back up. All right, so it's going to be extremely hard. All right, you have to understand that. And it's not even hard because of the things that you're doing. Rather, it's hard because obviously, one, you're doing it alone, but two, because you have to separate your feelings and your emotions from the action that you need to take to become that type of person or to get to that granulous goal. Because honestly, the truth is our mind is like we have to manage a constant dichotomy of our thoughts and the actions that we take on a daily basis. Because those small implements, those small increments, is what amounts to being able to accomplish the big things that you want to do. So expect it to be hard. I don't like I said, I don't want it to sound apocalyptic. It's not like I want to like brain anyone down. I'm not saying these things to stop anyone from going on the path that they really want to go on, which is like getting better in life. But I do feel like it's better that we just talk about what it actually feels like, because most people just talk about it feels good. Yeah, it does. It does feel good, but it's actually hard simultaneously at the same time. In the beginning, it doesn't feel good. It's the honest truth. And on that same topic, the last thing I want to talk about actually is like expect it to only get harder. Because the problems that you have to solve only get more difficult. Like they don't get easier. What really happens is you just get more equipped because you've defined the person that you want to be, and you've built this sort of foundation of the person that you want to be. You get an opportunity to start building on it. But as you're building, it's like an architect or like a contractor. You have to just start making calculations. Like, okay, how do I build this the right way to where I don't fall and I don't crumble? So problems just become over and over again even more complex and complex. But you have more tools to actually solve those problems. That's what really happens. It's kind of like, if I could use an example, it's kind of like a math class. And let's say algebra, for example, like the first algebra equation that you solve in that class is typically going to be easier than the last one that you solve. But how come you still get a chance to solve that last equation? I think the biggest thing is like the first equation sets you up as a foundation of like what it's going to be like. This is a glimpse of what it's going to be like. All right. So it being hard in the beginning is a glimpse of what it's going to be like. And then the progress that you're making along the way, solving the problems in the midst of the course, in the midst of the lectures, to be able to get to the point where you can get onto a test, for example, and actually solve these difficult problems that when you first started the class you wouldn't be able to. But the foundation is what allows you to actually be at the top and look down and be able to realize like, oh, this is what I need. X plus Y equals, yeah, you get the point. Math was not my strong suit. I think I think that's a really big thing. Like just expect it to only get harder, but also along the way, because you've taken the right actions, the fruit that you've been able to grow out of the ground, because the seeds that you planted, they get a little bit easier to pick because of the skills that you have. So that's the way you reinforce yourself. Because the proof that you are who you say you are is your ability to solve the problems that you're going through. And that's where it becomes fun. That's where it becomes challenging, but that's where it really becomes fun because you start to test yourself. Like, oh shoot, can I solve this problem? Can I solve this problem? And at that point, because you have the ability to solve the problems, when you talk to other people about the problems you're trying to solve, you find people that are like you. Right, like I said in the beginning, it's going to be lonely, but at once it gets a little bit harder, you find people that are like you, that are on the same path. You guys solve those problems together. And that's when you build that small group, or it might just be another person, where you build that strong friendship where like, man, like I feel like this person knows everything about me. So basically what I'm saying here is like it being harder is the positive. It being harder is the way that you reward yourself. If it's not hard, you will not grow. Like building a muscle, if you don't stretch the muscle first for it to be able to rebuild, it will not grow and it will not strengthen. Honestly, the problem that you need to solve before you jump into it is like, are you willing to put yourself in a position where you have to adapt to change? Because all that's going to happen. It's constant adaptation to change over and over and over again. So you never can get complacent. That's what you really should expect when you jump into self development, or you're jumping into working on yourself, or building something that's really large, a business, a corporation, whatever. Like that's what you really should expect. That most people, honestly, that I've seen, that just don't talk about. The real. Because the visualization is good, it's sweet, it's awesome. But like when you get stuck there, you actually don't take action. So I appreciate you listening to the video. If you stuck around this long, it actually means that you care. So kudos to you. When you're thinking about becoming the person that you want to be, obviously, like I mentioned, visualize it, sit in it, feel it. So awesome. But also be objectively clear that it's going to be hard, it's going to be lonely, and it's only going to get harder. But that's when it starts to feel good. I appreciate you watching the video. Peace.